Meet Sarah, our luscious lower figure. If she were to eat a cream puff or two, it would quickly find its way right around the circumference of her thigh and quickly weave its way around the back. Her greatest circumference is below the navel, across the seat and hips. Now, her figure definitely implies fertility and all the allure that implies. But before we can enjoy the monument of her figure, we need to figure out how to clothe it. And the most difficult part of this component is going to be the trouser or the pant, because we have to simultaneously shroud all of this while clasping her much narrower waist. If we were to look at Sarah's closet, we would note that 92% of those things are tops and sweaters, while only 8% are going to be bottoms. And of those bottoms, there's only a narrow percentage of pants because the rest of them are skirts where we cannot be able to differentiate the circumference of thighs beneath them. For Sarah, we're going to show her how to take what nature has given her and make the most of it. We have transformed Sarah from her former lower figure self into a svelte hourglass, and here's how we did it. First of all, this kimono sleeve lengthens out the shoulder line. There's a couple of different ways you could do it. You could do it with a puff sleeve, you could do it with shoulder pads, but here it's just the line of the shirt that allows the shoulder to come out broader and balance out the line of the hips. Next, we have awesome ruching right here, pulling right in along her narrow waist and making sure that that's a showcase of the whole ensemble. Sarah is a waist as opposed to our waist knots, the linears or the middle figures, and we need to make sure we're always bringing attention back there. Going down into the pant, our most important section, it's a trouser leg, which means it's straight from the widest part of the hip down. We don't even need to experiment with jeggings. We don't even need to look at flares, because all a flare is going to do is make our knees look very narrow against the wide expanse of our hips. What we want is to just streamline the entire figure and show off the curvy hip without amping up the volume unnecessarily. But don't let us catch any of our lower figures going out there without back pockets. It's just unkind. We create an undigestible booty buffet back there. We need pockets to break it into visually digestible pieces. And the bigger the pockets, the smaller the bottom looks. So make sure they're appropriately placed and make sure that they're there and not too small. We also need to make sure that the rise is at a level that's going to clasp the waist. It's actually easier to find a higher rise a lot of times that will nip in at the waist, but that is going to emphasize your booty. If you love it, work it. Tuck your pants into it. If you don't, just wear a longer shirt over it and then you won't be having to yank your pants up all day long. Putting all these elements together gives us a really cohesive, fluid look and makes Sarah look very balanced and proportional. Now we have our lower figure Sarah all gussied up, but still in proper proportion. We've done this in 3 different ways. First, we have cut. Cut is the most important element when we're looking and evaluating clothing. In this case, we have a nice fitted bodice, a V-neck bringing attention back up to the face, and very importantly, an A-line skirt. With a lower figure, we don't need to cling back in with a mermaid tail or a very fitted pencil skirt. We want to make sure that we just skim the outline of the figure and outline a much smaller waist against a broader bottom half. For a lower figure, one of the other considerations we can take with cut is using a cap sleeve or a half sleeve. Using a cap sleeve, it draws attention to the bust. Using a half sleeve, it draws attention to the waist. Both areas that could use an additional emphasis on the lower figure. Next, we have color. Color, once we have the cut down, can do a lot of things for us. In this case, we're using the white on top to bring a lot of dominance and prominence to the upper half, while the black on bottom recedes against the advancing brighter colors. Finally, we have cloth. Here we have a medium weight basket weave material that adds structure and weight without a lot of fussiness or bulk. And it creates a nice streamlined fluid silhouette. Overall, if you put those three components together, we have a balanced proportional Sarah. For other body types and more information on how to look your best, go to cardiganempire.com.